Welcome to Urban Knife Guy, where we explore the urban knife style and jungle survival. In this video, we are going to explore which of these mini multi-tools has the best pair of scissors for urban and outdoor use. We're going to test them on a variety of material, from card to paper to different forms of cordage. I have 5 popular models of mini tools here. We've got the NexTool Mini Flagship, the Gerber Splice, the Leatherman Micra, the Victorinox Classic, and the Leatherman Squirt PS4. So these are very popular mini tools. I'm sure a lot of you might have them, but which one has the best scissors? Stay tuned. I thought I would interject and explain that I'm not including the Gerber dime in this discussion or test because this pair of scissors really doesn't perform well for all these tasks that I wanted for urban and outdoor use. So if you're looking for a small pair of scissors in a mini multi-tool, I won't just depend on the Gerber dime, but as an overall multi-tool and maybe as a more affordable replacement for the Leatherman Squirt, I think this is pretty good. First, if you watch this channel regularly but have not subscribed, please do so to help the channel out. Thanks. The first piece of material that I'm going to test with is a piece of paper. I believe this is 70 GSM, just regular printing paper. And I'll start from right to left, starting with this Victorinox Classic knife, the small pair of scissors. Now, I don't expect to, I'm not talking about how long it takes to cut something because obviously that depends on the pair of scissors. I'm really talking about how effective it is as a cutting tool. So that's easy enough. Now let's go with the Leatherman Squirt. Not too bad as well. I would say comparable to the Victorinox. The Leatherman Micra. Being a bigger knife, obviously much easier, also slices through very easily. The Gerber Splice, also very easy. And the NexTool Mini Flagship. Okay, this has a bit more of a bite. Doesn't seem as smooth. You can even see in terms of the cuts. Maybe it needs a bit of oiling. But I did already loosen that Torx bolt or nut over there, or screw rather. But it's still, doesn't have that as a satisfying or smooth cut as that's slightly better. But definitely, at least the first time as you saw, not as good as the rest. But for the rest, I would say pretty much comparable. Now let's go on to something a little thicker. This is index card or art card. And with the Victorinox, let's see how that cuts. Definitely it will take time because it's smaller, but in terms of the cut and the bite, no issue whatsoever. For the Leatherman Squirt, no problem in terms of cutting, but definitely in terms of a feel, in terms of the spring, not as good as the Victorinox. The Micra, no problem, very easy and comfortable. The Gerber Splice, let's try that one more time. Let's see what got it. So something is getting in the way. Now there's no problem with the cut, but I think it's the design of the pair of scissors. Maybe it's just a bit thicker, so it actually gets in the way at least when cutting the card. So that's interesting. And finally, the NexTool. So again, it's an issue with the spring. Cutting is not the issue, but it is just the way the spring tension is not as, I would say, easy or pleasing to cut. Okay, now we're going with something much thicker. I'm not sure if this is really fair for the smaller pair of scissors, but we've got some corrugated cardboard. I'm not going to cut all the way through. I'm just going to give a cut just to feel how it is. So, okay, that's a bit of a tall order. You can see it makes a bit of a dent. I don't want to break the spring. So, really too small for corrugated board of this thickness. Let's try this. A bit better, but also won't be able to really cut through effectively without fear of damaging the knife. The Micra, I would assume being bigger should be fine. It can, but again, not ideal. The splice, it can too, but again, not ideal. And the NexTool. Okay, it's not cutting through as effectively. So for the corrugated board, first, I don't think you'd use a pair of scissors from these multi-tools to cut the board, but in terms of the best performance, it would be the Micra and the Splice. So let's test out some cordage now, and this is Kevlar line or braided thread. And let's just cut off bits, starting with the Victorinox. Okay, so that's not cutting very well. I mean, it cuts, but you can see it's not cutting through and biting. Okay, maybe you have to get it just right. Okay, so it has to be straight. You can't slant it. You need to make sure that the pair of scissors is really perpendicular to the cordage, and you can cut that. All right, that wasn't too bad. And let's try the squirt. No problem as well. The Micra, again, 90 degree. Oh, it's not cutting as well. It's, in fact, it's not cutting at all. It's fraying it and it can't cut through. Let's try the splice. Not a problem. Okay. And the NexTool. Try get it 90 degrees. And that's not cutting through this Kevlar thread as well. Very interesting. So we had the Victorinox, just need to make it really precise, maybe because of the size. The Leatherman Squirt and Micra had no problem, and the Gerber is actually pretty good. Oh, sorry, the Micra didn't cut through, right? Yeah, the Micra didn't cut through. Yeah. So that's pretty interesting. The Victorinox could cut if you get it really at 90-degree angle. Leatherman Squirt, not a problem. The Micra could not cut the thread. Splice was good, and the NexTool could not cut the thread as well. So let's try some other material for cordage. And this is braided nylon, what you might also call bank line. So let's see how that cuts. So very commonly used in bushcraft and camping. So for the Victorinox, it can cut, I would say, but yeah, it can cut. Pretty mighty small pair of scissors. For the Leatherman Squirt, not a problem. Slightly larger than the Victorinox. For the Micra, again having a little bit of problem there. Not great, and that's surprising actually. The Splice, no issues, easy cut. And for the NexTool, so that's not cutting as well. I think we are seeing a common trend. Okay, that cuts. If I'm closer to the tip, nope. I guess at a very specific point it works quite well. At the tip, no. At the base, no. But right in the middle, that kind of works. Let's go back to the Micra just to see if that works. If I can find a specific point to cut. Nope. Okay, maybe towards the base for the Micra. So towards the base, and you still have to kind of saw cut it. All right, so there we have it again. In terms of the positive performance, these three work out pretty good. Our final piece of material will be 550 Paracord, something that everyone will use outdoors. First, the Victorinox. It can cut it. Takes maybe 2 or 3 presses, but that works. For the Squirt, it too works. Yep, I would say the cut is not as clean as the Victorinox, but it definitely can work. 2 cuts again. Let's see the Micra. Again, seems to have issues with cordage or fibrous material, so that's just not cutting well. The Splice, perfect, easy and good. And the NexTool, again, also having those same issues. Okay, so these two can do the job. The best at the job, definitely the Splice. Okay, let's do a wrap up and conclusion. So what is the conclusion of this 100% scientific testing? It's actually pretty surprising. I'm pretty disappointed by the Leatherman Micra in terms of all the tasks. Now this is the OG of mini multi-tools, but bear in mind, of course, maybe it's just this model that I have that's not performing as well. You should let me know in the comments below if your Micra performs much better than this. So I was pretty surprised by that. In terms of Victorinox, I think for the size, it's really mighty and it's got that capabilities, and you can understand why the Classic is a very popular keychain tool. The Squirt also, I felt performed pretty well. Not a bit of a struggle. Again, that's because of the size, because these are much smaller than these, and being part of a multi-tool system which has the pliers as the main tool, I actually think it's a really great support pair of scissors. So definitely this would get my vote. Unfortunately, the Micra, as I mentioned, disappointing. I can't see myself bringing this out in the field, and even in terms of urban use, I would have to think twice, or maybe try to get a new one if you guys tell me that it's actually really good. This is actually a really good performer. I'm quite surprised by the Splice. The Splice could cut everything easily and it feels good as well. Now I would say the fit and finish of the overall multi-tool isn't as good as the rest. In fact, I think it's the roughest in terms of the fit and finish, but this pair of scissors, the most robust, and I would say this is the winner for me. The NexTool, it's a great overall tool because it's got both the pair of scissors and the pliers as well as other tools, but I'm a bit disappointed by the scissors as well. I would say that it performed slightly better than the Micra in this case, but definitely not as good as the Splice. So I still could keep this in different tool pouches and such. But if I were to just have EDC options, if I'm just depending on the multi-tool, definitely I'll go with the Splice if I want primarily scissors. And if I want that combo, I think the Squirt is pretty good as an all-round tool. Well, those are my conclusions and my thoughts, but again, this is really limited by the exact models I have. Maybe I have got some lemons, maybe I've got some really good ones. So do let me know your own personal experiences using whatever tools of these that you might have. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you like the content in general, please subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. Thanks for watching. Talk to you soon.